The one on the right.
Here?
The one on the right.
Here?
Yeah.
You're not coming here Shabbos, so you didn't see it.
Oh, you could then.
Oh, you used to come for the show. You used to sit right
The
there.
other guy now, the magician, I went to him. What's his name? The magician?
Angelini.
Angelina, yeah. I went to pay him before.
Okay. Rabbi say, we're going to take a look at Maror tonight. Shin Pei Aleph. Pei Shin Pei Aleph.
Shin Pei Aleph?
Yeah. Here, Siv Chav Zayin. Here. Right here. Shin Pei Aleph, Siv Chav Zayin. This page here. The next page.
Always Dafka.
Here, Siv Chav Zayin. Elu Yerakes Sha'adam Yitzim Dei Chayvas Maror. These are the herbs that you're Yitzah Maror with. B'chazares. Chazares shekoilin salat, Beloshan Ashkenaz.
Salata. Salat or salat?
Salat. So salat is the lettuce. That's chazares. Salad, salat, is the lettuce. The romaine lettuce, yeah?
What the regular romaine is for everybody use.
Yeah. Beloshan Sfard, in Spanish, it's called salata.
I'm in the show now. You come
You know Spanish?
No, all the same. Salat.
In Loshan Sfard, you know Spanish?
Paquito, no mucho.
Kita. Salata.
It's a salad.
V'shem ha'etzem shaloi, its real name
Yes.
is Lutiga, Betorgama. In Turkish, it's called Latuga. People call it as a nickname, they call it salat. You know this word? What's the word?
You know what tartuga?
Lituga.
Latsuga.
What,
It's a
Latsuga?
salad.
That's what you
It's a
call it?
lettuce, yeah.
That's lettuce.
Yeah, Latsuga. And tartuga,
How do you know Turkish? It's Arabic?
it's Arabic. It's
Similar.
close, yeah.
So you see Latuja, right? Okay, you see Latuja. Vitalia, that's in the country of Turkey and Italy, and Ashkenaz and Sfard, and in Portugal, and all those countries is called Latuja. With Sifrei Hafuis, in the medical books, we have to know exactly what the Maror is. We got to clarify. Nikra Latiga Salat. It's called Latija Salat, most probably. It's probably in Latin. Ve'ene Motziv is Mana Pesach Modin is Chames. Only in warm countries did you find it. In Europe, they didn't have the romaine lettuce. Because it was a lot of, let's say in Russia. Russia didn't have it because it was not warm. Poland, Russia, they didn't have this.
That's why you tell me.
It doesn't grow. Now, Ve'ena yarak, it's not the vegetable hanika zarzich beloshen Poland. In Polish called zarzich. That's it, finished. Until now, this is one thing. There's 5 types of yarabkas which go into the category of Maror. The first one is chazares. And the Alter Rebbe goes to talk, what is chazares? In different language, we have to make sure that we're talking about the right one.
Yeah.
So he makes it clear. But now he says, you're also yoytze be'ulshin, shakayin endives, betamcha, shakayin which we call crane, mertich, ubelaz, merubia, in some countries the rubia. So tamcha is the crane.
Rubia is Arabic.
What does rubia mean? Merubia mean?
Rubia means string beans, like a string beans.
So this is not.
Rubia.
Tamcha is the chrein, is the is the grated maror. It's the maror that we have the root maror, right? The bitter maror.
Fruit palace.
Char chavina, shakoyim ba'aravi. You know this word? Alak china. It says in Arabic. Al katsina.
No.
Some word in Arabic.
It's old
Arabic. Yeah. No one's using this today, most probably. But maror, and you yaitza with maror. What's maror? Shakoyim vermit. In German, it's called vermit. Who lano? This is lano. These are the 5 maras. The fish and never but Torah maras tam. The Torah itself just says mara bitter. It doesn't say what type of
what
vegetable.
kind bitter? Yeah.
Kiblu chachamim. Chachamim had a kabbalah. Shein shum min yarak mar nikah b'shem maras tam. Other vegetables can also be bitter. You have a lot of things that are hot peppers. You have this. You have that. A lot of things hot, but nothing is called with the word maror stam. When I say the word maror stam, only these 5 can be referred to as maror. Everything else has another name to it also. You don't just say bitter. You say another word with it. When you say maror, only these 5 can go into that category. Now, the Maisa is that Rabbi Say, in happened was in Russia and Poland, these countries, they did not have the salat. They did not have the chazaras because it grows in the Medina's Chambes, in the warm countries. So they would take the chrein. Chrein was what they always had. Today you have both. People bring to the Seder. But I only think people bring these 2 types. I don't know if you've seen other types. The other 3 he mentions here, endives and the other ones. I only seen that
Most people is
Seder,
romaine.
just romaine or
Most
maybe
people
the
romaine.
chrein.
And they charge your arm and the leg. Gush katif and this.
Well, you could buy regular and check it. Gush Katif is where today? Where are they taking it from? There's no Gush Katif, so
Yeah, they have other fields that's from Gush katif.
they transferred.
Rabbi Zai changed it to put a disclaimer. Even though it's from a greenhouse, it still have worms.
Who put on?
Rabbi Zai.
Yeah. Chamisha minim ha'lolo. Mitzdarf l'tzakazayis. These 5 different types, you don't have to have from each one. Separately a kazayis. You can mix them together if you want. You don't have to eat from one a kazayis. If you want to have a little bit here, a little bit from this one, yeah. The yoitzim and bein ba'olim, whether from the leaves, bein kalachim, whether from the stems. Abaloi shirashim, not the roots. The root itself is not part of the maror. The small roots that are going all over. The very big root, let's say the very big root that it sticks in the ground by, that the leaves grow out of, that root, even though it's buried in the ground, it's considered a kelach, it's considered a stem. Still in all, toiv yois, it's better, little ha'olim, the leaves, and the stem, hayoytze chutz l'karka. Better take the ones that grow outside the ground, not in the ground. V'sheyesh oimrim, some say, shemashu tameh bekarka, hu hanika shoydish. Whatever's in the ground is called shoydish, root. So because of that, to some people, it's better to take from what grows above ground. But the main one, the ikar is kisvari shoy. The main halacha is that the main root that's sticking on the ground, that's okay. But the roots that come out of that, that's not considered maror, not yoytze. So we have to clarify what part of the vegetable is considered maror.
You have to know which one is bitter. If the shorts are not
also,
bitter,
what's maror? You can eat a stick. You have to know what's the actual vegetable and what's the side part. Maybe it is bitter, but it's not. It's not the actual maror itself. This is some root. You're not eating the maror. Now, ha'olin sivchav tes. Ha'olin, the leaves and yoytz melakeinim lachim. You only yoytz if they're fresh. Aval like commotion. Ve'ein tzarich lemivation, but sure if they're dry, totally dry, for sure you can't be yoitza. Ala klochim hayoitza mehen, the stems, you're yoitza bein lachem mivation. Where they're dry, where they're wet, you're yoitza. Ve'ein tzarich lemivation commotion, which is like in the middle. Kivan shakeluchu av, since the stem is thick, ein tam mirirusei nifsei deshem misavish. The time of the bitterness is not lost by the fact that it dries out. It's still bitter. And since it's still bitter, yoitza. Aval yoitza b'kelam avushal. If you cooked the stem, you cooked the maror, you're not yoitza. V'shenifsa tam irusai de abishal. Through cooking, it's a problem. V'hak kavush hukim avushal. You have to know, Rabbi Yisai, that if it's kavush, it sits in water for 24 hours, it's called kavush. Kavush is considered kimevushal. Something sits in water 24 hours, even though it's cold water, the status of mevushal.
Sauerkraut. It's a kavush.
So kavush kimevushal, and in nisha betzir, if it's soaked in a certain juice, a bechoimetz, or vinegar chazak, a strong vinegar, v'shal shabechdei a brine. If it stayed there long enough, that if this brine was on the fire, it would start to cook. And as well, if it was soaked in 24 hours in cold water, even without brine, you're not yoitza with it. You're not yoitza the maror. Because when something gets cooked,
Thank you.
Same, when it gets cooked, it's it loses the bitter, the meridos.
How about to put it in the fridge to lose the meridos?
The fridge is fine. Now look here what he says. Mixas hamoin. Some people, ein is harden, they're not careful. They don't want it to be so bitter, so they let it sit for over 24 hours in cold water. They have a pot of cold water, and they put the leaves in there. So this is an issue, l'chora. This is a problem because kavush kimevushal. Yesh mishi yashav min hagam. There is a shita, a paisik, which wants to explain their minig and to give reasoning that it's okay. Even in regards to all other Yisurim in the Torah, if it's kavush, it's kimevushal. When it comes to mar, it's not like kimevushal. Only when it's in vinegar or brine. That taste changes, and nullifies the tam abaridas hamar and nichushim legamri. But mayim, in mevata maridus, it doesn't totally lose the bitterness. On a figin time exas, it makes it lose it a little bit. It becomes fainter, but it doesn't lose it entirely. If there's no chaymer tzir in it, you didn't soak it in chaymer and sear, you were soaked it in water, it's not a problem. Furthermore, even by other isurim, not only by chametz, there are opinions that say that kavush kimevushal is not by cold water. Some say it's only when it's in vinegar. Even though we are machmer, but by all these surim, if it's just in cold water, if you had basar and cholam, meat and milk sitting together in cold water for 24 hours, we're machmer to say that it's mamish basar v'cholam of kavush kimevushal. Remember, we spoke before, the chazeres salat was not found in all places. So chazeres, the romaine lettuce, doesn't taste bitter, right? But the tamcha, the grain that they had in Russia and that's in Europe, that tastes very bitter. So, since people don't have in those countries, they weren't warm climates, they don't have the romaine lettuce, so they have to eat the tamcha l'mitzvah mar. Because it's so bitter, they can't taste the bit of full kazayis. So therefore, so therefore they let it soak in the water a day or two, so it shouldn't be as bitter. So this shita is being malamet schos on those people who do it. Says, listen, you're not going to let them do this. What's going to be? They're not going to eat a kazayas. I have a problem with kavush kavusha. You're cooking it. If you cook it, you're letting it sit in the water. Two reasons to be matter. Number one, who said the whole concept of kavush kavusha by other Isurim of the Torah? Well, other Isurim of the Torah, there, the issue is that you're taking out the taste from one item and you're putting it into the other food item. By maror, the problem is that you're making it lose the taste of the maror. So by water, it makes it less bitter, but it doesn't remove the bitterness entirely. Only when it sits in choy vinegar and brine. So if you don't sit in vinegar and brine, even though it's in water, it shouldn't be a problem. And he says, furthermore, you could add on that even by other Isurim of the Torah, not everyone agrees that kavush k'mavushal is in cold water. There are shitas which say that only Rishonim, that only Chaimet sincere makes something kavush k'mavushal, like as if it's cooked, even though it's cold, no heat. You could cook something without heat, right? However, if it's a cold water, no. We're machmir. But there is such opinion, so we have two opinions to rely upon. And a yois that these shitas, in the case where you don't have, Mikol Makim still and all, he gives, the Alter Rebbe gives an eitzah and advice how you can be yoitza all the days. In one hand, you want to make it taste a little bit less bitter. On the other hand, leaving it in there becomes a problem because according to many poskim, it's kavush k'mavushal after 24 hours.
The thing was to get it as hot as you can.
For those that could. Toiv loheitz ma'mayim. Toich me'eis le'eis.
Some people sweat when they eat their maror.
Depends who. Depends. Everyone's different. Some people like bitter things, you know.
My son
Some people like mashke,
give me more.
you know?
Give me more.
The Rebbe says, don't make it 24 hours, so it'll be okay.
Not everyone takes it down so well.
No, I'm saying here the Rebbe give a to do it to water, don't do it 24 hours.
Mikol Makim toy better the ending of Sif Chavtes. Lohoitzi ma'mayim toich me'eis le'eis. Take it out in the middle of 24 hours. So stop the process. Then you can put it back in. It's not soaked in water. 24 straight hours. It doesn't have the status of kavush v'dirihak according to all opinions. So l'maisa, that's the best eitzah. In the middle of 24 hours, just pick it up for a minute, put it back in, see how it goes. Now,
I actually grind it on Pesach with a mixer, and then I put it in an open plate in the refrigerator for a couple hours. When you come to the Seder, you could eat kazait. You're still choking, but you could eat kazait.
Yeah, because it's loose from the bitterness when you leave it open.
No. It's
After you ground it, you leave it open.
It's come out from your nose and you feel
Right, but not so strong.
If you put
It's
vinegar
so
in,
strong.
you can still use it?
shouldn't be vinegar with it. Sits in vinegar, the vinegar is mavatal the bitter taste. Even on water is a
I
shayla.
thought that it keeps it.
Alter Rebbe says it's sitting and it's going to give it a different taste. It's not going to give it.
Different taste.
It basically certain. You're not allowed to cook it. Al derech zeh, putting it in certain other substances, even though they're cold, but they have the koyach to make shinuyim and change it, pickling, right, things like that. So you can't do it.
So you need to machmir in the merirus.
Sif Lamed.
It was not supposed to taste
Some
better.
people think they're smart. I take more
It's
bitter,
not supposed to
I
taste
do better mitzvah.
Now,
Yeah, it lowers your
Stupid.
blood pressure afterward.
Yeah, it's stupid.
And
Yeah,
It
you
lowers,
I take a
lowers your
test,
sugar
that's it.
level.
as long as you're sure about
then Abai say, listen,
Yeah,
the
you should
Mishnah
eat it
has a
every
certain
day.
order. The Mishnah has a certain order of these 5 Yerakas. Starts with Chazeres, then it goes to Ulshin, then it goes to Tamcha, then Charchavina, and then what's called Mar. Now, the Mishnah made in this order, Chazal learned that the order is specific. It's better to take the earlier ones in the Mishnah, the later ones. The first one's Chazeres, the main lettuce. It's better to take that than the Ulshin, the endives. And it's better to take the endives over the Tamcha, the Chrein. It's a Seder in the Mishnah. They're all yaitz with everything, but it's what's best. Sif Lamed. Ava Bisha called Hey Minim Elu Nikrayim Maror B'Lashon Torah. All these 5 are constitute Maror. Kal Makim Midirei Seifim Midrabanon. Mitzvah Lachsa Chazeres. It's better to go and dafke to go look to find Chazeres, the romaine lettuce. Afilu k'noisi b'dami yikarim. Even if you have to buy it with a lot of money. Al derech she's bar b'simah tafresh vav l'yin esek hadar in sham. Like the halacha is when it comes to a esek mahudar, that you're allowed to pay up to a certain amount. You should pay to have a third of the price. I think that's what it says over there. Up to a third of the price extra, you can pay for the hiddur mitzvah. So derech zeh, this is also a hiddur mitzvah to have chazeres. You're going to ask me what type of where's the bitterness in there? That's a mitzvah to buy chazeres. Why should I want chazeres? Ava bisha chazeres ein b'meriros mikol mokim kishishoye bekarka. If you would let it stay in the ground for a long time, miskashe akelosh, the stem that's in the ground gets very strong, hard. Benasa marmor, it becomes very bitter. That's the reason why it's called maror, because what we have, it doesn't taste bitter. But this is why it's called maror. It's a mitzvah to buy it, to chase after it, even when it's still sweet, even before it becomes bitter. What's pshat? The mitzvah maror is a zeicher to what the mitzvahim bittered our life of our fathers with hard work. In the beginning, the mitzvahim did it smartly. They didn't just right away say, you have to work for your slaves. First they said, why don't you help us out and to work and we'll pay you nicely. Then one day, they stopped paying. But they continued making them work. So it started off very nicely. In the beginning, it's sweet and soft. In the ending, kosher v'mer. When the stem, the case becomes so hard like a stick, then it's bitter. When nasa mar kilana becomes bitter like the last one of the five, which is called maror, actually called the word maror. So the ma'isa chazares is the best. So I want to tell you something that everybody say. The problem was in other countries, like we told you, in the place it wasn't warm climates, so they didn't have it. They never saw in Europe these things. They didn't have romaine lettuce in Russia and in Poland, these places. So they would take other things, what they had available then. The vegetable they had available was the chrein. Now that we're here in America, so that's why everyone is taking romaine lettuce. But a lot of people are still taking also some chrein, because so many years, hundreds of years, people are Avesenu were taking also the chrein. So they're taking also some chrein. But the etzem is, you yoytze 100% with the romaine, and not only that, mitzad halacha, this is the bigger hiddur mitzvah, you should have chazara. Someone says, no, I only want to eat the chrein. No. Mitzvah na muchatit. It was only because many years we weren't able to have it, because it wasn't mekaymes achamim.
What the Rebbe used to eat?
Both, like everyone.
You take liver also?
Yeah, everyone, like we all do. We take both.
Everyone does give both. The women and children the leaves only, and those they give.
Yeah, listen, whatever the people do is okay.
Let them feel a little bit.
Whatever people do.
Kazait? No.
The thing what the Rebbe did was, the Rebbe was very machman himself.
Okay.
And the Rebbe by the Seder, what I heard from people was, the Rebbe would take a lot of leaves, so he had like a kazayis from the leaves. Then he would take a lot of the chrein, also like a kazayis.
And then put it in the leaf.
He would put his hand in and take a whole from the bucket, take a whole bunch and put in leaf. Then he took an actual piece, not a grounder piece.
I do that too.
He took a piece also, a nice size piece, and he put it in also. He wrapped it up like one big ball and he ate it. So now, why he took that piece? Because there is a certain Haggadah called Haggadah's Maisinissim from the Chavaz Das, one of the big poskim. He had a certain shita about maror, which is not accepted lahalacha, but it seems like the Rebbe wanted to be yoytzeh shita. His shita is that when you grind the maror loses some of the bitterness when you grind it.
Right.
So he held you're not allowed to grind it.
Oh, so you want the whole bitterness.
Oh, so he held you shouldn't grind it. You have to buy out of a chunk. But the Rebbe, the halacha, that opinion is pushed away from halacha. Meaning most shitas don't hold like it.
You know why? Because a lot of people didn't have teeth. They couldn't chew.
Well, those people don't have teeth, but Lamaisa, the Rebbe wanted L'chura, the Rebbe didn't explain himself, but L'chura wanted to also be Yoytze that, so he also took a piece of that also. The Shaila is why the Rebbe took a kazayis, seemed like the Rebbe took a kazayis of the romaine lettuce, of the chazeres, and a kazayis of the chrein, the tamcha. The Shaila is why he did both the tamcha and the chazeres, a kazayis, because we learned before that it's mitzdarif. The kazayis, you don't need you can have half. You don't need to have a kazayis of each. Most people are not having a kazayis of the tamcha. They take a sprinkle, a few pieces. They don't have a full kazayis of each. The main thing is they have their main lettuce. And they have a few pieces just to remember, we always used to have this. To feel the Maror Bissel. Well, I one time saw someone write an article to explain why the Rebbe was noig this way. And he said, again, from the Ikra Halacha, you don't need to do what the Rebbe is doing. But the Rebbe was concerned for Shitas that are not brought in Shulchan Aruch. There's certain opinions that hold you have to feel the bitterness itself. Meaning you have to eat the chazares. Now the Rebbe holds you can eat the chazares even when it's sweet. Wow. Right? Mm-hmm. But some Shitas hold no, you have to have it when it's bitter. So you're missing, because you have to have tam mar b'fiv, you have to feel the bitterness of mar in your mouth. So if you just eat romaine lettuce the way we have it, it's not bitter, you're not going to have the tam mar, feel bitter. So therefore the Rebbe, this is the way he understands, that the Rebbe therefore wanted to take a kazayis. According to that shita, you're not yoitza with the romaine lettuce the way we have it, because it's sweet. The halacha is, we just saw that you are yoitza. Right. But since the shita holds, the pri chadash holds, you have to actually have miridus. You should have it when it's bitter, because you have to feel miridus. So therefore he explains that the Rebbe wanted to take a kazayis, a full kazayis of the chrein also. But if you take a kazayis of the chrein, well, what about the thing about the mitzvah? It says the mitzvah d'Rabbanan that going to take chazeres, because you have the whole zeicher that it's sweet and then it turns out bitter. So the Rebbe took also a kazayis of the romaine lettuce, and then he took also the nice big chunk because he wanted to be choishish that if it's grounds, we're not the Rebbe, and we do what we could do. We take mainly the romaine lettuce. We take a little bit of the chrein. We eat it like this.
When I was a little boy, I think I tasted was you ever tasted when it was bitter, or there's no such thing?
The romaine you did?
Shocking from that.
There's romaine that's
chazares. It's real chazares. And then you eat it.
Oh, that's real.
So
that's a gemara.
That's what you just said, Avalacha. Just to make starting with sweet.
Yes, they had different species.
Take away
we never
right?
had
It says in the Agod, if you remember, matbilim the chawaset, but menare.
No one does it. It says here in Shulchan Aruch, we just learned that if you're going to leave the romaine lettuce on the ground, just let it sit there, the stem is going to become very hard and it's very bitter. Very bitter.
That's what we're supposed to do.
But we take it out before. So the Alter Rebbe said that's fine. Because we don't feel merirus.
Why don't they grow?
Because a yois that the zeicher is that they started off before ferach, that with the first sweet talked us sweetly, then it became bitter. So the zeicher chazares with the beginning. Now, why is it called mar? Why is it considered one of the mars? Even though you're right now, it's not bitter, but it's called mar because in the ending it's
later,
mar.
right?
According to this, you don't actually have to feel mar.
You want to make some money? Taka get that species back.
Make a new chumrah.
So the Rebbe really makes say
there's no Indian to have it the way. So the
Rebbetzin was very concerned for the Rebbe because she knows the Rebbe is so medactic on himself. So they had the women at the Rebbetzins had their seder in the room nearby in the kitchen. So there was open, they could see, but they had to buy their own room. So they, all the men were in the room with the seder. So she used to always come to the doorway to watch how the Rebbe is eating the maror. The mats and the maror, she was concerned. She used to come to watch the Rebbe.
Watching him.
Yeah.
If you think about it, also with teeth, we try to bite it, it's so hard and bitter. Without teeth, and this. The Rebbe used to have a lot of napkins, and because it's so hard, it cut your gums. So the Rebbe was bleeding.
The gum, yeah.
Maybe the matzah.
What was the matzah?
Also the more. Think about it. You have something in your mouth like a piece of bark, like a tree, and you can't bite.
Yeah, Sif Lamed Aleph. There was something about the Rebbeim of Chabad that they did not want to have anything fake, any fake teeth. And there was no the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab one time wrote a letter to the Frierdiker Rebbe that, we have the letter today, that he wrote that Mitam Yedullah, from a reason known to you, like he told him once, that I don't have any fillings or anything. He didn't want any fillings. And same thing also to the Rebbe and the Frierdiker didn't have no dentures, no fillings.
No fillings even.
Now, what it seemed was because of an issue of maybe when you're having basar, you have basar v'chalav, you're eating things because it's in your mouth. It could also come up Pesach issues. It seems it probably had something to do with that. Maybe there was other deeper reasons, but there was a story that there was when the Rebbe was once, the Rebbe Rashab went away to one of these spas, went away. So he met, that was very common in Europe, and there he met a Rav of Preshberg. The Preshberger Rav, the Rebbe Shterner Sarah, they were staying in the same hotel, she went to the Preshberger Rav privately, and said that my husband, he's so machman himself, he doesn't want to get any fillings, but he has issues with his teeth, he's having a lot of toothaches, and he's in pain from it. Maybe speak to him about it and to convince him. So he came over to the Rebbe Rashab and said, Rebbe, it's not Yatzei Ledesbay, it's not so hot that there should be, it's not Yatzei, only if it's Yatzei Ledesbay, that level of heat, that the hand recoils, then the heat has the koyach to put it into the filling, that absorbs the taste of the milk and of the meat, there could be an issue. So Maisa, the Rebbe, what we know the story not from Chabad. There was a grandson of this Preshberger Rav who lived in Switzerland. He wrote a letter to the Rebbe saying that he heard from his grandfather the story that he approached the Rebbe Rashab, and he said that the Rebbe Rashab and that the Rebbe Rashab answered him back that a Yid wants to stay pure and clean before Hashem. He wasn't bekabel.
Or it says,
so not really clear, if it was medayik from this, but there was such a concept.
He said the chshosha the chshosha. It's chshash the chshash. So what's better, to have chshash the chshash or to have isurim? Which isurim is better?
So it all depends,
My father
for
said
a
the story
tzaddik.
on Jem. The Jem has the stories every time somebody. So one of the stories from the Jem, my father, because he spoke to the Pressburg Rebbe, the one who actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow, very interesting.
It's like 60, almost 70 years ago.
He heard the story from the Preshberger Rav himself?
Yeah.
Where was he then?
In Yerushalayim. Came to Yerushalayim. So he said it in Jem, one of the Jem video when they have.
Story the Rebbe Rashab?
Yeah.
Very nice. Because there's this letter that the person wrote to the Rebbe wrote back a letter. It's published. It was published a few years ago. You know about it? Your father saw that letter?
If you go on YouTube, Jem, and right now, Prosper, you see my father saying this stuff.
Interesting.
He was young, probably, no?
Very, very young. He was teaching in a Yerushalayim yeshiva that the Holocaust kid, they came there, they had no parents, so nobody wanted to teach them. They was broken kid, so they needed special attention. Understand? Right after the war, right? They came to Israel. No father, no mother, no grandfather. It's very, very. It's called Diskin Yeshiva. So he was teaching in this
Who
yeshiva.
said Diskin? My mother was the chef,
So,
the cook.
in
Yeah?
order to,
Naomi for 60 years.
Wow.
he used to take the key to Prosper Rebbe to have a teach, to have a talk to them, so to have some a little bit more.
So
pure,
you
more
connected.
One time they came to her. She was making babkes money. Another big yeshiva, they told her, they give $100, we give you $1,000 a week. So she went to my grandfather, who was the shochet at the Ben Ish Chai. She said, what I do? He tell her, all these kids call you Ima. You need money for the Ima? Just stay. She stayed till last day.
Wow.
She didn't pick money.
Wow. Nice story.
One time was a snow in Yerushalayim. We used to live in Katamon. She got up 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the Mossad Diskin because no chef, no cook. She used to have like 10 workers there. Nobody came. So she came and she said, I have so many boys there. They have no food. Nobody will cook for them. And she worked like 6-7 hours.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
So when my father was working there,
Maybe the same time.
So maybe your father knows my. My mother passed away, but
a Foim Wolf. It was a
תשאל אותו, גברת נעמי, if הוא זוכר.
Foim Wolf was a manager he was work for the Rebbe for Tom Chet Miriam, and then opened up itself in Mechan Kfar Chabad. So Foim Wolf get a letter from the Rebbe. There's a guy in Yerushalayim, young bocher, that working in Diskin, and I heard good stuff about him. Take him to work for you in Kfar Chabad.
What years your father was there? Remember?
He told me he was like 16 years old. He's already teaching.
He's what
16.
now, 80?
85.
So what was 70?
70 years ago.
Before Diskin was Mekor HaChaim in Telpiyot, and then they moved to Diskin.
Sif Lamed Aleph.
So יש לנו קשר קצת.
Im ein loy chazeres, yachsa achol ulshim. If you don't have chazeres, go after ulshim is endives. I don't know if we know exactly what this is.
What's the word Olsen?
Know what it
No, I
is?
think we know how it
Olsen is a certain
And that
vegetables.
we know what it is.
Yeah.
It looks like spinach, I think.
What, Olsen?
No, endives.
Ulshim is endives. Vim ein loy ulshin, yachsa tetamcha. That's the grain. Vim ein loy tamcha, yachsa chachavina. And the chachavina is ayikach maror, then the lana, take the lana. Now, what happens if someone has no maror? In a place with no maror. Im ein loy afilu maror, yikach ezem yorak marashi yisa. Take any bitter vegetable. Why? V'shiyei shoyrim, because there is a shita.
Radishes.
Shekol yorak mar sheroi lachila nikamar b'lashon Torah. Any bitter vegetable that's right to eat is considered mar in the Torah. V'hu sheish l'sraf. It has to have a juice to it. Pirush k'shemachatchim boy, when you cut it, v'chsoichten, and you squeeze it at that spot, v'mokim chituchi, where you cut it, yoitzman a moil lavan kichalo, like a white juice comes out. Upon a machsifim, and its face is white. The leaves are not very green. Kale hakreshim ubutzalam shayarkas, like the leaves of onions and forgot how to translate kreshim and other vegetables. It's more whitish. It's like a darkish white, you know. Shekoidin bleichlich, Lashon Ashkenaz. It's not a very
So you
white
can't
white.
take-
It's like an onion has.
Can't take anything. He's giving you very specific.
Right, it has certain things, but it's very widens the horizons. Till now, you only could take these 5 types. This is what the Torah called Maror, and that's it. This Shita holds that anything that's bitter, any bitter vegetable, it's roy lachila, and has these qualities, is considered Maror, not after these 5. Mikol Mokim, if someone has no Maror and he does this, and he takes this to be yoyt to this Shita, lo yivarech alein, don't make a brach on it. She'ikr, so the ikr is like the first halacha that this is not Maror. Maror is only those 5 that are clearly mentioned in the Mishnah. But you have no choice. You have none of those 5 Marors. So at least take this and be yoyt to this opinion. But don't make a brach on it, because safik brach is lahakol, right?
What? I don't know why he's not telling
Now,
you the truth.
If you have friend, what's your
Because
chashuv?
this is very. There are a number of
Giving you
vegetables.
specifics. But how many vegetables are there? He couldn't just tell you which ones.
You
I
can
mean,
take onions, right?
Radish.
Onion.
Radish.
You can take an onion.
Uh-huh.
You can take an onion.
If he has red chazeret and he has white one,
He
which
says
one,
here onions, while he mentions onions.
which one is more appropriate?
What do you have?
If you have red and you have white.
Of chazares?
Chen.
Chrein.
There is no.
Chrein is only
red,
white.
There is no red more.
The chen we had
Oh, you're saying they put the
for the
horse.
gefilte fish.
That's
Horse.
beet.
No,
That's
don't use
beets,
it.
man.
That's sweet.
No,
but that
no.
beet mix
Are you
mix
kidding?
with
You don't know
chazan.
it doesn't
It's a
grow like
mix.
that.
Yeah, that's what makes it bitter. They're mixing it.
It's like saying, I want to catch some gefilte fish in the ocean. Same thing.
No, this is from this country. They didn't have it. They take beet juice. They take beets and they make it to taste a little better. They put beet juice on it to make it. So you should take the plain because without the mix.
Yeah.
That's a good shaila. If you put that on, if you still yoytze or not,
Probably yes.
it's probably still yoytze. It's probably still
If the
yoytze.
bitter is stronger. It's
Yeah, you still have the bitterness. You didn't. It's not kavosh k'mavashol. It's could be okay, but definitely better not to. Better to take the pure white root. Yeah.
It's interesting when you take a medicine.
You can make on Pesach. People want to make. People who make themselves the grain.
Yeah, my wife makes it.
So you can make the white. You
Mix
ground it and then mix it
Ground
with
it
the
and
beet.
mix it.
Mix it with the beet juice.
That's how you make grain on Pesach.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can buy it. You make
That's
it.
right.
Gold's mixed with that.
If you take some medicine that you don't like the flavor or the taste, whatever, it's like bitter, right? You don't make any brocha. How come over here the Torah told us to eat something that we don't like and it's bitter, and we're still making a brocha on it?
This is the mitzvah. The
You have
mitzvah
to
of the night.
remember the maror.
Now, Here even furthermore, what happens if you have someone you don't even have this bitter vegetable? Sif.
We'll continue in the middle. Bim ein lo yerek sheyesh lo saf.
If you don't have such a vegetable which has juice, or part of machsifim, and it and it's white, like like an onion. Take another vegetable which has bitterness to it, right? You asked being more specific. Take any vegetable that has bitterness to itself, even without its qualities. But you're not being yoitz according to any shita. This, the only reason you're doing is l'zeicher ba'alma, just to remember Maror, because you're going to forget about Maror. You should have to say to something that reminds you about Maror.
And without bracha.
Of course not, yeah. Even the other ones you do without bracha, because the ikar halacha is only dafka these 5. But if you don't have, there is an opinion in your yoitze with anyone which has the juice and it's white, so you're yoitze. But if you don't even have that, so then just take any other vegetable that's bitter for a zeicher ba'alma. Ve'in tzarech kazayis. You don't take a kazayis because it's just a zeicher. You're not really being yoitze. According to no shita, you're yoitze. No shita agrees you're being yoitze. You're just saying it to remember. By the seder, you shouldn't have any maror. You shouldn't have to remember that we always have maror. V'chein mishu choyla, someone who Rachman al-Tzlan zachor is not well. Or istanis, or he's such a type of person that he just cannot bring himself to eat maror. You know, our eitzah is he should go take the romaine, right? But if he doesn't have the romaine, he doesn't have anything else. When he yachol lachol mar and he can't eat mar, he can't. Toiv sheyilis ma'at, he shall at least chew a little bit of the mar. Sheyargish tamid is befil zeicher ba'al of bracha. To taste a little bit of it, just to have the taste, the feeling, feel a little mar. You're not going to go pay. You're going to go without mar. Below bracha, only only when it's not possible at all. A person has an obligation to push himself. L'kayim mitzvah chacham, to fill the mitzvah chacham told us lechol kazayis shalom, to eat a full kazayis. Even if he's going to be, it hurts him and it bothers him. Shir kazayis will be explained in another simon. So you have to eat a full kazayis. Eye is difficult. Eye you turn red, you have to eat the kazayis. If you hard for you to eat the kazayis, that you can eat the romaine. Just eat the kazayis for the romaine. The full, it could all from the romaine. You don't have to eat anything from the romaine. You can pick your choice. You can mix it together. If it's the kazayis for both together, we said before it's almost star of the shear.
He has to do it both night. If he doesn't have enough, better only one night. And
Then the first night,
nothing.
the ikar.
Only
The first night, the ikar. By the way, I want to tell you something. There was a minig, something interesting. We're finished with Maror and the halachas. There was a minig in Europe, some places, where people didn't take, they used to have chrein, like we spoke before. In Russia, the colder climates, they were not able to grow romaine lettuce. They never saw this. So this for them was new. When they came to America, what's this chazares? They didn't want to look at romaine lettuce. They want to see the chrein that they always saw.
Strong one.
That's what they saw by their father, their grandfather. They don't want to see this, what's this romaine lettuce? So Lamaisa, they want the strong with the chrein. But then, it was difficult to eat. They only had that, and it was difficult to eat a whole kazayis. So there were people that were mekel l'chatchila, they didn't take a full kazayis. The shaila is, how could they be mekel not to take a full kazayis? You have a shchiyuv to eat a kazayis. Unless it's impossible, you have no choice. You're not, you can't. But if you could, even though it's painful, you got to eat the mar. That's the chiyuv tonight. You got to remember.
They were doing this.
So Lamaisa, there were people that had this minig, and Sfarim talk about it, that it was based on something. It was based on something. One of the people had this minig, it was my Zayda. He didn't take much. And
Couldn't handle it?
there was Pashat the minig, and the minig was based on like this. I'll explain to you. I'll talk to you about another minig. There is a minig, it's a very strange minig. We know for Kiddush, you have to have a revius of wine in your becher. There's different shiurim, the smallest shiur, 2.9 ounces. Better to be machmer 4. Well, there's even bigger shiurim. However, there are certain communities today, Hungarian communities, other communities, comes Kiddush by day. They pick up one of these little glass cups.
I know.
They fill it up with schnapps,
I see it all the time.
whiskey, and they make a shahakal nibadvari by day, for the Kiddush by day, and that's it. That's the Kiddush.
I saw that.
What's not a revius over here? How are they yaitza?
Chassidish do that.
Some Hasidic groups do it. Not all, some of them do it.
But you're in Shak?
They say shahakal because whiskey, and they just say shahakal. But they don't have, in Mela they had a whole cup of the mashka revius.
Not to do shahakal.
Okay, we could say it's Chamara Medina maybe, it's always better to make a wine, but there you, not even a revius. What is this? It's based, there's a discussion in Poskim that this goes back, there's a forget about Kiddush. Why b'chalal is there a shir dafka of a revius? Chazal have a Kabbalah that this is what constitutes a drink. This is enough to satiate you. Less than this does not make you feel like you drank something.
Also for that.
This is the minimal shir of a drink. There's a minimal shir of an eat. There's a minimal shir of a drink. So the Maisa Revius is the minimal shir.
Right.
So the Maisa, there's one of the poskim, the Taz says, he talks about this not lagabi kiddush, lagabi brachas, dini brachas. When do you have to make a burn ala geffen on something? It's usually only when you have a revius, right? He says, what happened, and when you drink something shahakol, only when you have like a seltzer, only when you have a revius. But he says, what's the din of yash? Yash is Rosh Tevis, yayin saraf, the whiskeys. He says the whiskeys, the bitter wines, so the whiskeys, the mashke, people drink a little bit of it. They don't drink a full revius.
They can drink the whole thing.
Right? People lechatchila take only a little cup. So he said that is the serving size. His shita was that's the serving size for mashke. What is the minimum for mashke? That's the minimum for mashke. Everything has its shear.
A zip.
So you want to know what's considered for mashke. People don't drink a whole cup of mashke. People drink a little l'chaim. That's considered the shear of the minimal drink for that. And therefore he held, the Taz held, 1 minute, everybody, so we're going to pull it all the way back. It's in Hilchas Brachas. We're not getting to get... He held in Hilchas Brachas, his sheet is that you can make a bar nefashis on a small one if it's whiskey, because whiskey, that's the shear of whiskey. Everything has its measurement, so that's the shear for whiskey. People don't drink more than that's not a drink is much less when you call by whiskey.
You can drink more.
So Lamaisa, we don't hold that way. No one makes a bar we don't make a bar nefashis on whiskey when you drink less than.
Sure?
Look, I don't know if no one, but we don't do it. Lamaisa, however, that minig that you see in those shuls that they're picking up by Shabbos by day, they pick up a little kelishke, a little glass cup, a little plastic cup, they're making a kiddush on it. They're applying this taz by brachis, they're applying it to kiddush, because if it's good for making a bar nefashis on the whiskey, it means it should be good for kiddush too. So that's their way we understand their shita. Based on this, we can extrapolate something else. Maror, what's the reason why you're eating maror? Maror also, in order to be constant achila, who said you need a kazayis?
The serving size.
Maybe the serving size of a bitter food is just like we say a bitter drink, a whiskey. The serving size is smaller. So maybe by a bitter food, by a bitter herb, a maror, it's also less than a kazayis. So therefore, this minig, there were those that explained that the minig that was in Europe by certain people took smaller. My father always didn't know what to say to his father. He sees his father eating maror less. What is this, But then he looked up some svarim and he saw that no, there's such a minig, and he mustama saw by his father and his Zayda, and it's the svarim bring it down. I've seen myself and svarim bring down that there was such a minig. There was such a minig amol. L'maisa, that's not the main halacha. That's a minig, which is shaloi halacha, right? The minig of kiddush is also not something which is the halacha really in Shulchan Aruch. It's a minig which we explain when we yashiv the minig, we answer the minig. But you look in Shulchan Aruch, you're not going to find that's what it says to do. The same thing with maror. In Shulchan Aruch, it says right here, we just learned the shir kazayis, you have to have a kazayis. But those people who had that minig was based on something. That they could have eaten more, They could have eaten more, but that was that's the shear.
That's the question. Where does it say? Where did it get from?
It was based on a certain mahalach. What was it based on? Based
You
on
had to have a
Ishvat.
Rav who-
There was probably word up on him that Taka held that way, that it's bitter, doesn't need the full shear kazayis.
Yeah, because you can't just start him anyway.
Well, halacha, we should all eat the full kazayis,
Every year.
but we don't have to
Now
eat a
let's talk-
kazayis each, either one,
Let's
either
talk
this or
about
this,
how much
or
is a kazayis.
a mixture together of kazayis.
Every year.
Let's talk about how much is a kazayis of.
Snowing night. People are trying to have a open.
How much is a kazayis?
Yeah, we have to talk about the shirim here. How much is a kazayis of Maror? Shmuel, if maybe you can help us.
My husband brought up here once different shiurim, and he showed us one by one.
Yeah,
We had a whole shiur.
but you have to ask him to give
Shiurim.
it.
You remember
This week's
before?
this Shabbos, is Shabbos
No, I don't
HaGolot
remember.
Rasha.
No, he
So
brought-
Morozov should tell the Olam how much matzah.
He brought samples for everything.
Yeah.
One thing I want to remind the Olam, I think we spoke last week.
What's the weight?
One thing that's good
Oh,
to
the
know, that I think we might have mentioned last week, we're good to remember,
Yeah.
that matzah, we spoke last week, there's only those who eat from the kaira
Oh, we had the
have
whole
to
shiur.
eat 2 kazesim. Those who are taking from the box, not from the kaira, for their kazayis, don't need to have 2. Only 1 kazayis is enough.
Ah.
Because the whole machlek is which one the brachas are on the top
Right,
one, the
that
shleim
means
of the
that we had that
prusa.
shiur.
So therefore we need a kazayis of each. But those who are not eating from the kaira don't have to have 2
Most of these
kazayis.
people are eating more than 2 kazayis. The one people.
Okay, but you need to save some room for afikoyim and for koyrach.
Right.
So
But aren't
they
they-
could eat more if they
aren't
want,
they-
but
yeah,
they don't
aren't
have
they-
to.
Especially
Some
when the
people,
first night.
some people find it difficult. So
Aren't
you have
they
to
taking
know.
the starter from the Balabas? No. Are these little
Maybe
tiny
next
pieces?
week we should learn about dalakoisis, about maybe about the shear, how much you have to drink and everything. That would be
We'll do
kedai.